everyone, and welcome back to the Future Ready Librarian podcast, Leading from the Library. I am so excited because today I get to talk to one of my dear friends down in Texas. So, hi, Michelle.
Hi, Shannon. So thank you so much for having me on today.
I know it's so great to have you, and we were just catching up before, so I'm really excited just to talk about some of the things that we have chatted about. But let's start by having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about where you work.
Okay. My name is Michelle Griffith, and I am the lead media specialist and instructional resource coordinator for Brazosport Independent School District. I have been with the district. This is my 32nd year. So I was an elementary teacher, and then I was an elementary librarian, and now I've made the move to the district admin side of things. So I get to have my hands in all the things. Anything instructional material related, from furniture to library books to buses. I mean, I'm working in book buses actually. So I do all kinds of good things. But my love has always been the library. So
Oh, and I've been there a few times. And so that's why I kind of have a passion to hear about too what is happening and just what is coming up. And I think too, just to kind of set the stage for our listeners, just to talk about what the last year has looked like in terms of how you continued to not only have an amazing library program within your schools, but how you provided access to your kids when it came to books and technology, and just give us some kind of a glimpse into what that has looked like.
Well, as you know, after spring break last year, we did not come back. We've had a free read jamboree every year that Shannon has been so gracious to attend many, many years. That had to be canceled. We have been working on a book bus, which would roll out so that we would be able to get all of our students access to books all summer long. That had to be put on hold. And when the pandemic hit, everybody kind of went into crisis mode, but we immediately started working on how are we going to get the kids what they need. Our technology department did a great job of rolling out hotspots so that every family had a hotspot if they didn't have Wi-Fi access. We got Chromebooks into the hands of the kids so that they could have access to all of their schoolwork. We tripled the number of ebooks we had so that kids had access to books. Across the district, we had so many publishers that were so gracious about giving free access. I know Capstone had, we had all of their ebooks. Teachers did a great job in utilizing all those resources and planning all those things for the kids. As it got back to being time to come back to school, there was a lot of talk about, what is this going to look like? How is it going to run? And, the decision was made in the district to leave the devices, leave the hotspots with the families. We opened up the access so that they had access whether they were at home or at school. We've done a really great job of making sure that no matter where the kids are, where they live, or what their home situation is, they always are going to have access to whatever they need.
That's awesome. And I know that, your district, how many kids do you serve?
We have about almost 12,000 students.
Yeah. How many librarians then is that?
So we have 10 elementary schools,
Mhm.
2 middle schools, 3 intermediate schools, and 2 high schools, and
Yeah.
then 2
So
alternative high schools.
yeah, a lot to think about. And did the librarians, like in their role, especially when everything was virtual, what did the role of the librarians then look like? Were they joining classes? Were they teaching online?
Well, in the spring last year, the librarians, they weren't doing a lot of online. It was very asynchronous, but they immediately jumped on with storybooks and read alouds and providing online maker activities or things like that to the kids so that they had things to do, books to read, access to read alouds and things all summer long. And so we didn't stop when the school year stopped. You know, they continued rolling things out all summer. And then as we come back to school, we have about 85% of our kids have come back face to face now. But at the start, we had so many that were still virtual, and our librarians stepped up. They created Google Classrooms. And so they were providing library programming to the kids, no matter whether they were at home, they were at school. We have a couple of librarians whose campuses have chosen for them to, they don't go into the classrooms, but even though they're at school, they're doing all of their lessons virtually. And it has been so engaging for the kids. The librarians have said that they feel almost like they have a better, more of a connection with those kids.
Yeah.
And so that's been great to watch. You know, we have a program where whether you're virtual or you're face-to-face, the kids request the books online through our online catalog. And then if they are virtual kids, they have curbside. So we roll a card out in the morning and the parents can drive through and pick it up. All summer long, our district provided meals. And so there were several locations where, you know, you could drive through and pick up meals. And then we provided crates of books that were giveaways. It was a take one, share one kind of deal. And so as they would come through and pick up their lunches, they would take books out of the crates and then they would bring the books back. No record keeping. If they wanted to keep those books at home, they could. If not, they returned them, or they returned different ones, and then other families could share. So it's been amazing to watch. We've had a literacy night. We used to have literacy nights once every 9 weeks. We couldn't do it this year, but we had a literacy pickup. So our book bus, even though the interior is not finished yet, it was there, and the kids drove through and we just gave away books. So they had books to take home to read. So it's been fun to watch those kind of things develop.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have to ask about the book bus because people are probably wondering now, what is the book bus? So tell us
Okay,
about
so
that.
we took a school bus, and we basically have ripped out all the seats, and we had a group of kids. This has totally been a student-led project. We worked with our high school design students, the graphic designers, and they designed the exterior of our bus. And another set of design students have designed the logo and the t-shirts and the materials that are going to go out. Our construction technology classes they gutted the inside. They're building shelving and they're doing some welding on it. So it's going to be fitted with Wi-Fi, air conditioning, because we're 50 miles south of Houston and it's always hot here. You know, it's like 75 degrees today, even though we're in winter. And then the bus will travel during the summers 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It will be in one of our feeder patterns. So like Jackson feeder pattern one day, Clute one day, Freeport one day. And the kids will be able to come on the bus. They will always get to have 2 books to take home that are theirs to keep, and 2 books that they'll be able to check out from the bus. And the plan right now is to have programming when they make their stops, having maker activities and coding and things. We don't know how that's going to work this summer with the pandemic and everything that's happening. We may just be doing book checkout. We will travel we have a lunch bus that also goes around to provide low-income families with meals during the summer. So the book bus will run and we will make stops where the lunch bus is so they can come and pick up food and get books and art supplies and things like that.
Oh, I just love that. Does it have a name, or is it like the book bus?
It's called the book bus. And the funding from this, a couple years ago in 2019, we went out for a bond. And as part of that bond, I worked really hard with our librarians and our business office, and the library program got $2 million so that we can, our collections were old, they were outdated, and we did a lot of research into what it would cost. So we've got a budget of about $75,000 to retrofit this bus and make it workable. And then the rest of the money has gone to the libraries. They each get a chunk of money every year for the next 4 years, so that they can totally replace, update, and make those collections really what the kids need.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, I've gotten to know your librarians so well, and it's exciting to hear, what you've done and just how you've continued to provide these great services. And one of the events, and you mentioned it earlier, that I've been to several times is the free read jamboree. And I know that last year had to be canceled, but what are your plans for this year?
So this year we are going to be 100% virtual. And instead of it being a 1 day event, which for those of you, I mean, obviously your listeners probably don't know, Free Read Jamboree was put into place because we wanted to make sure that kids had home libraries. And so we did this. It usually happens on a Saturday, and every campus has game booths, and the kids play the games, but instead of winning, you know, little prizes, they get books, so they get to pick their books. And we structured this from K through 8, and they come out, we always have an author visit. Shannon's been our guest author a couple of times. There's activities for them, maker activities. It's a whole day of just celebrating literacy. So since we can't get together this year, we are planning, it's a full week, May 17th through the 21st. And we are in the process now of scheduling virtual author visits. And there's going to be Kindle giveaways on every campus, and book giveaways, and games and prizes and special maker activities. And it's just going to be a week-long celebration. The other reason we started Free Read Jamboree was author visits. Author visits are very expensive. And when you have low socioeconomic schools that don't earn enough money at book fairs, or they don't have, the same type of funding, they didn't generally have author visits. So Free Read Jamboree was a way for us to bring in at least one, usually two authors that were from our Great Texas Mosquito Lists, which we create for K2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8 every year. And then everybody in our community would have the benefit of being able to meet and talk with and hear author presentations. So we're super excited this year that we're going to get to do these virtually, and we'll record them, and then the kids can watch them whenever they want. Teachers can share it with them, and then our community is going to get to see it as well.
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing too. And I know that one of our favorite things about it was just the kids being there with their families and how excited they all were. But you're going to make an even bigger impact probably with this virtual event, which is.
We hope so. That's our goal. The goal is to reach as many kids and as many families as we possibly can. My vision for the library has always been to make reading and literacy a priority, and that we make sure our kids have access to the books that they need, but that they're also getting books that they can have at home too.
And I think too, a big thing about what your district is doing and what you're doing as not only the leader, but your librarians, is you're providing them equal access to great programming, and just the library programs that you have built and what they do within the libraries. And that is a huge thing. And that does really shine through in the work that you do, not just with the books, but being amazing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I could not do it without the 18 fabulous librarians that I work with every day. And I'm just blessed to call them friends and to be able to work with them, because they're impacting their students on their own little space. I feel like my job is just to make sure that they have what they need and that we can reach those kiddos.
Some of my favorite librarians are in your town. And so I wish they all could be on here because I miss all of you. And I'm excited for people to hear this, but also, is there a place that we can follow along with the work that you do as well within your district and all the libraries?
Well, most of our libraries and our librarians have Twitter accounts and Facebook, and we, generally post things on there. Free Read Jamboree does have a Facebook page, so you can always get more information about that there. Our district website, www.brazosportisd.net, has a whole page dedicated to our literacy programming and our our book bus, and those kinds of things. If they need more information, they can always email me, reach out. If I'm on Twitter, you can reach out through that to get more information. I know our librarians are several of them have presented at TLA about Free Read Jamboree and community literacy programs and things like that.
That's awesome. I know. And on Twitter, your handle is?
Oh, it's I gotta look. It's terrible. I have to look it up.
I was trying to remember too.
I think it's M_Griffith 15.
And I'll put it in the description too. So then if people have questions, they can reach out and ask you. So we're so thankful that you shared all the great things that are happening, and they're lucky kids to have you and those amazing librarians that you work with. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I love talking about, I could talk for hours about the things that we've got going on.
That's so great. I know. And thank all of you for joining us again. And we can't wait for our next episode of Leading from the Library. Talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us for the Future Ready Librarian podcast, Leading from the Library. I would like to also thank our sponsor, Follett Learning, for their amazing continued support.